Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how you can get from this to this with only Twinmotion, so no post-production of any sort. Let's get right into it. Hey guys, it's Erna and welcome to the channel. Let's start with the materials I've used for the scene. The default material that comes for most of the scene is this wooden floor. I only left this wood texture on the panels behind the lounge chairs. So as you can see, I've used the mahogany texture for the other wooden parts and set the reflections to about 35%. You can choose this value yourself to how shiny you want it to be. We apply this also to the beams and to the ceiling panels. For the wall at the back, I've used a non-slip flooring material. I wanted to create this cozy and warm atmosphere for the whole scene, so the black material is a good fit. Also, the round bumps are perfect to cast some light in the back of the scene. As you can see in this shot, the light plays with the texture. Small details in the lighting and texture makes a huge difference. The concrete material is also from the Twinmotion library. It's a good fit for the modern and cozy atmosphere, and it's also not a flat texture. This again makes the drawing stand out a bit more. For the ceiling, we have the mahogany texture again and the steel ground texture from the Twinmotion library. I've also upped the reflection value for the steel ground texture. Again, this is not a flat texture and this can be shiny to make it more interesting. For all the black metal materials, I've used the brushed aluminium and changed the color to black and a reflection of about 50%. This is also used on most of the furniture like the tables. More materials for the furniture is the reflective glass panel for the tabletop, the brushed aluminium again for the chairs. I've set this to a copper brown color to match the original scene. The windows are done with the standard Twinmotion two-sided glass material. And for the curtains, this is the tricky part. We need to go to Photoshop to adjust the scene texture and then make a new material to get this translucent effect. Okay, now that we are in Photoshop and we have the scene material loaded, unlock the background layer and set its opacity to around 70%. Now save this file as a PNG and voila, it's that simple. Let's get back to Twinmotion and create a new material. We do this by clicking on the squares to change the menu to multi-material. Click on the new material and load the PNG texture that we just made. Set the opacity mask to on and set the two-sided to on. Now paint the curtain and voila, it should work. The illuminated parts are done with the warm neon 2 material. Important is to set it glow to its maximum. Same for the logo in the back, again with maximum glow to get a nice light effect. Also we use this glow material for the light sources like the hanging lamps and the ceiling lights. Again you want to set this to the max glow to cause a nice light effect. The lamps are done with a glossy plastic texture. Set the color to dark black and set the reflection to its maximum. It's also important to set the metallicness to about 70%. This is to counter the reflection. The handle is done with a brushed aluminium texture that's also darkened out a lot. I think this is it for the materials. Let's continue with the light settings. First, let's see the sunlight settings. Nothing really special over here. It's a sunny midday in August. The earlier in the year you select, the lower the shade will be. In my opinion, this looks natural, so that's why I went with these kinds of settings. Now for the interior lighting, I have used two ways to light up the interior. First, I used one area light to light up the scene. Set the dimensions so that the whole place is filled up with light. As you can see, that's how it looks like from the outside. Notice that the attenuation is set to 6 meters. The lower you go, the brighter the scene will be, so try to go for a natural look. Also set the shadows to off. This is a very important, otherwise your scene will be filled up with cluttering shadows. For the hanging lamps, we have used the spotlight and the omnidirectional light. The spotlight is used to get a realistic looking light that bounces on the floor, And the omnidirectional light is used to give the lamp a more brightened look. Now for the settings, nothing really special. Again, try to go for a natural look by setting the attenuation to a low number. Try to keep the intensity to a natural looking light, especially in this scene where you have so many light sources to light up the entire space. For the omnidirectional light, we set a radius to the smallest we can get, and set the shadows to on. The intensity should be bright, but not too bright again. Also when doing this trick, watch out for the materials on the lamp. It can shine through the material if it's too bright. But overall, I think this gives the light a better and natural looking atmosphere. This is the same for all the hanging lamps in the scene. For the spots in the ceiling, I've used the same technique. Try to keep it natural and keep the intensity at the lowest you think it needs to be. Underneath the floor steps is also a neon light. Nothing really fancy about this light, just drag it on to your scene and you're ready to go. Same for the ceiling neon lights. Keep them natural and on a low intensity. A small tip is that if you have a shiny material, as I have here on the steel ground texture, the light will be carried on by the material. Then the last piece of light is the area light in the back. This is a standard area light with a longer attenuation as normal, so that the light drops down really nice. This is it for most part. Let's have a look at the export settings. For the images, most of them are done with a high field of view to capture the entire scene. The vignetting turned off and also no depth of field. The lighting is done with the exposure turned up a bit. The shadow set to 40 meters to get a nice crisp looking shadow, and the ambient set to 1. I recommend to play with these settings until you're satisfied with the result. For details, turn the depth of field on and play a bit more with your lighting. The higher you go with the exposure, the brighter your scene will be, and you can counter this by having a lower ambient, but that's all up to yourself. The videos are done with a much lower field of view to capture as much detail as possible. You also have more time to show the entire building or space than in an image. The videos are also a bit darker, with the exposure settings set to around 0.1 and the ambient set to around 0.9. The depth of field depends on the scene itself, but it's always done with the lowest aperture to get a nice looking effect. Okay, that's it for today, guys. I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And now it's up to you. Which technique did you find most helpful? Let me know by leaving a comment down below.